What is up, everybody? Welcome back. It is good to see your faces once again. And to the new faces that have subscribed, welcome to the KG Alliance, the KG Mafia, the Kirk Club. Please don't leave. I know I'm a dork. Just please don't leave. Today, we are talking about 4 Netflix-approved cameras that you might want to look into instead of buying that next new camera. And the best part is, these are all under $2,000. Now, jumping straight into the list, we are talking about the most expensive camera on the list. That's going to be the Panasonic S1H. The S1H will set you back $3,500 new, but I've seen it as low as $1,500 on eBay. This thing packs one hell of a punch with a 24 megapixel full frame CMOS sensor, 10-bit 422 6K 24 frames per second. It will shoot 4K all the way to 60 frames a second, but there is a downside. It is cropped. This thing packs 14 stops of dynamic range, and the form factor is great. Very small, run and gun. All you need is a lens and a battery, and you are set to make that Netflix movie. Short film, skit, or even if you just want to break the internet with some funny cat videos. Now, if you do want to rig this out, there are tons of cages available for it. It's very buildable, but it keeps its small form factor, so you're not lugging around a huge cinema camera. Now, the next camera on the list is going to be the Blackmagic Ursa 4.6K G2, because Blackmagic just can't name it something simple. Just every one of their cameras is a mouthful to say. But I do love me some Blackmagic goodness, and this thing does not disappoint. It's packing a super 35mm CMOS sensor, which is pretty standard in cinema cameras. 4.6K resolution all the way to 120 frames per second. If you drop down to 1080p, you'll get 240 frames a second. Built-in ND filters and Blackmagic RAW, and Blackmagic RAW is just mwah. It is so good to work with. You can find these cameras in great condition for under $2,000. I found them as low as $1,300, but that doesn't come with a monitor or a top handle. And if you have any doubts about what this camera can do, check out my friends over at Film Riot. They've been using this camera for a few years now, and all they have is good things to say about it. And I'm pretty sure after what, 13, 14, 15 years on YouTube, I think they may know what they're talking about. Now, the next camera on the list is going to be the cheapest camera on the list. We are talking about the Sony FS7. The Sony FS7 can be found for around $1,300 used, and even though it may be 10 years old and the specs aren't very groundbreaking, this thing is still a cinematic workhorse. The FS7 comes with a super 35mm CMOS sensor, 4K up to 60 frames per second. If you drop down to 1080, you can get all the way to 180 frames a second. It packs 14 stops of dynamic range and 10-bit 422, so color grading and editing is going to be a dream with this camera. It also has built-in ND filters and a native ISO of 2000, so low light might not even be an issue. The FS7 has been used on movie sets such as Killers Within.
You can't go to the cops and you don't have the money. So you've only one option. You're gonna have to steal it.
Skin, and Annabelle Hooper and the Ghost of Nantucket. That's a mouthful to say.
Mom! Not just a vacation house. They're all over the island.
And encounters a legendary ghost.
It's also been used on many documentary sets such as Last Chance U. So if you're looking for a cinema camera to grow into and start out with, this may very well be the camera for you. Or if you're looking for a camera that punches well above its price tag, it might be worth looking into. Now, for the last camera on the list, and probably the most epic, my favorite, we're talking about the Canon C500 Mark I. This thing is a cinematic beast. You know what? Forget everything else on this list. Forget all those cameras. Just go buy this one. Just go. Just pause the video. Go buy it. I'll wait. Just go on. Just go buy it. It's a Canon. You're not going to be sad with it. It's a Canon. Just go buy it. And before you call me a Canon fanboy, I only own 2 Canons. It's the M6 and the M50, so like I'm shooting on a DJI Pocket 3 right now, so just call me a Canon fanboy. It's okay. I'll take it. Am I a Canon fanboy? Maybe. But they do just make really good gear, so maybe. Now, the Canon C500 Mark I has a super 35mm CMOS sensor, 4K up to 60 frames per second, 15 stops of dynamic range, built-in ND filters, and Canon RAW. So just go buy it already. I don't know why we're still talking about this. And because it's a Canon, it has Canon color science, and you just can't beat them at their own game. They invented color science. They invented color. I mean, they didn't, but they did. They did. Now, talking about some of the projects this camera has been used on, we are talking big budget movie sets. We are talking Avengers Age of Ultron. That's like my 7th time trying to say that. 2016's Jason Bourne, Need for Speed, and The Wolf of Wall Street. So I may very well go ahead and say this thing is a cinematic beast. It's been proven. If it's used on an Avengers movie, it obviously has to be good. Now, when this camera first came out, it was a staggering $26,000. $26,000 in 2012. But now it can be had for around $1,600. If you don't want a monitor or top handle, you're looking closer to $1,000. And I would say in 2024, this camera is still worth it. It still packs one hell of a punch. It's 4K, so it's still going to be viable for a few more years for you to develop and work into an even bigger, better camera. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking, buying used camera gear could be risky, and it very well could be. But I've never heard of a camera dying from overuse, because if that was the case, my Canon M6 Mark II would be dead. It would be RIP in the ground, non-fixable. It has a few thousand hours and several thousand photos taken, so if it was gonna die, it would have already. Now, as long as you look for a few things while you're buying a used camera, make sure the body's in good condition. There's no cracks, no breaks, no scrapes. All the buttons work. It's 100% functional. And if you're buying it in person, make sure it doesn't smell like burnt electrical. If you follow these few things, you'll probably be good buying a used camera. Now, if you want to mitigate most of these risks, you can buy from B&H or Adorama. They independently test all the used gear they sell, and so everything works when it goes out the door. Also, in most cases, they offer a warranty. I bought a used Red from Adorama last year. It came with a 90-day warranty, and we're a year and a half into ownership, and I've had 0 issues out of it. So as long as you follow a few things or buy from a certified dealer, you probably be okay buying a used camera. Now, while we are on the topic of Netflix approved lists, I want to go ahead and say you don't need a Netflix approved camera. You really don't. Netflix has already came out and said the Netflix approved list is for Netflix preferred vendors, making original content for Netflix. Now, for you, shooting your YouTube videos, your short film, your skit, your funny cat video, or even if you're going to shoot something for Netflix, you don't need a Netflix approved camera. The 3 things that you do need for Netflix is it's got to look good, it's got to sound better, and it's got to have a good story. Now, if you do those 3 things, you have a pretty good chance of Netflix looking at it and maybe even buying it. But you don't need a Netflix approved camera. You just don't. But if you were gonna buy a Netflix approved camera, that C500 looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. And before you ask why I'm gonna go buy it, and if I have a Red and a Z-Cam and a Blackmagic and all that, I like being in debt. I like having the credit card companies call me every day like, where's our money? And I'm like, oh, fake mustache. If you don't get the joke, it's Family Guy. Where's my money? Where's my money? But that's gonna do it for this video. If you liked it, smash that like button. It really does help. Subscribe. At 500 subscribers, we're doing a giveaway. Hit the bell icon, comment, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.